So, what's been happening? Wow, total roller coaster on the Facebook learning curve. And yesterday I was in a tad bit of a funk, but I tried not to let it get me down. Or was like I said, the day before that I had been battling Facebook, and every time I would try to create an account, uh, it would get a security lockout really quickly. And probably for good reason. I mean, if there's some pretty obvious hunter, yeah, well, let's call them hunter killer algorithms out there that are um, probably necessary to fight all the spam bots that try to go around and just spew advertising all over the place. And that is uh, definitely a good thing that we want to see reduced. No reason to see all that kind of gross trash filled up all over the internet. Okay. So today, and I think most days, especially when I bother to do a little bit of journaling, do a little bit of journaling. I mean, I always got to hide my own face because I've got some nasty narcissistic tendencies. Everyone, I remember when I was young, we used to play Magic the Gathering in this restaurant late at night, and the restaurant had very reflective glass, and we'd usually sit next to it was sort of like an atrium, and anytime my reflection was in there, I would just total narcissist out on it. And my friends would be like, "Why are you staring at yourself, Carl?" And I'm like, "I don't know." Well, I guess there's worse things than loving yourself, other than, well, you got to make sure that you keep it humble at the same time. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to go through this list of, well, just kind of, what my feelings were from yesterday, and well, I'll let you know how I. This is really good for me because it lets me articulate my thoughts and process the previous day and learn from it. Uh, and that will keep me from repeating mistakes, because there's nothing worse than expecting results and when you're actually making the same mistake over and over and over again. Uh, I'm not sure if it was Einstein. That might be a spurious quote. Well, to attribute the quote to him, but the quote goes something like, "Doing the same action over and over again and expecting different results is the definition of insanity," and we definitely don't want to go down that road. All right, so let me share with you what happened yesterday. So yesterday I was kind of, like I said, I was kind of in a funk, really frustrated over not getting the Facebook page up and running the way I wanted, and I decided that that was going to be, well, I had to stop tilting at windmills and raging against the machine, and get moving forward again, because there was no reason to just sit there in bitterness and angst, and because, well, I'm not gonna improve myself that way. So what's the point? All right, so I woke up and I decided, well, right, I'm gonna get rid of the bitterness of the day before, and I'm gonna go build something. That was the right idea. That was definitely good. And so I got on my main Facebook page, and I went in and I created the Wake, Rattle, and Roll page, and kind of like the way it's turning out. Um, the whole idea of the page is going to be me doing some self exploration in myself, and I want to share that with everybody. Maybe it'll be. I hope it'll be useful for you guys. It'll definitely be useful for me, and so take some inspiration from it if you can. Let me know what you think. Please do comment down below, and, well, happy to have a conversation with all you guys about, well, about all of this. Okay, so I got up, made the page, made Wake, Rattle, and Roll. I was up pretty late last night. I'm starting. Well, I'm trying to improve a ton of stuff about myself all at the same time, and getting back in shape is one of them. Been I'd been drinking way too much, and it made me lazy, and it made me want to eat too much, and you lose all your inhibitions, and I am incapable of losing weight while I have alcohol around me, uh, because it removes your discipline. And then there's nothing wrong with a drink or two every once in a while, but it can get out of control, and especially for me, I know I have those tendencies. Well, and I've seen it. Is I think alcoholism is definitely has a genetic component to it, and I saw it in my father. He could go through some jugs of vodka. I'll tell you what. Before he passed away, he didn't die of alcoholism, but he had cancer. But I'm sure the alcohol going through his bloodstream all the time didn't help things. So, anyways, so I'm trying to improve things about myself, and drop some weight, and that'll let me be more active with my boys. It gives me so much more energy too. It's amazing what happens. I usually follow a diet plan that's something like, um, well, I guess a little bit of Atkins. Well, the idea being that you want to eat a bunch of greens, and you want to eat meat and protein. Um, and not load up on the sugars and carbs. And so I'm kind of detoxing all at the same time. And also, when I go on diets like this, it's like it wakes up something inside of you. And the thing that happens to me, and I've also done alternate day fasting, and I'm combining a little bit of that too. Yeah, excuse me, I don't know why my phone's going off. Um, and you end up, it's like your body's telling you in the deepest, most hunter-gatherer sense of the term that it's time to go out and go gather some nuts and go spear a deer, or else we're going to get really, really hungry. So it's kind of ironic. You expect to be kind of drained, and there is some of that, but then uh, you'll go through like a short sleep cycle in the night, and you'll get like maybe 3 or 4 hours worth of sleep, and then you'll pop awake, and it's not really an unpleasant thing. You wake up and get a ton of energy, and it makes you want to go work, which is really nice. So I really highly recommend going on a diet like that when you if you find that happens to you as well. That may be specific to me, but I'm not. That's I don't think it is. I think it that energy boost from um, throwing away all the junk food and eating light really is a natural thing. Okay, so we'll see how I turn out in about 6 months. I'm really looking forward to it. All right, so I was up late, but I wasn't really tired. Got my little sleep cycle in. Um, let's see what else happened after that. Yeah, yeah, of course, it does come with a cost, and as your body's adjusting to all this, you know, I kind of hit a low point after building the page, and uh, didn't. Well, I ran out of energy and needed a little break. Fortunately, right around that time, my youngest son, who'd stayed home with a little bit of a fever, was feeling a little bit better, and so I went ahead and he asked me to help him fix his flat tire on his bike. So we went out and did that. I was a little snippy with him, I think, because I was low energy, and I want to improve that. I don't want to. Well, I want my son to look at me always and go, okay, that's what I need to be. And so that's definitely something I can do better. I need to stop and think about how I can. Well, when I'm in that low energy mode, that's what I notice. When I dip in energy, I get grumpy, and that's natural. And it's just my body telling me, hey, dude, you need to shut it down for a little bit more. Fortunately, I was at home, and so I could take a nap a little bit later, and that definitely helped. All right. Oh yeah, and so when I do hit that tiredness level, I I often I want to drink, and so that's the only problem with um, uh, when you start off a diet like this and you haven't built the habit yet of it just being a natural thing, and something that you're doing every day. Uh, so I have to really watch out for that I don't get tempted to go run down to the grocery store and buy a six pack or something like that. Oh right. Oh yeah, because you definitely got to watch out for that, because when you're going through this transition, I know that if I do have a drink, then I can waste a whole darn day, and that's not good because you know, what happens when you drink and it lowers your inhibitions, and as your inhibitions get lowered even more, you go, okay, well, that's pretty fun and that feels good, so let's just have some more, and then before you know it, you haven't done a damn thing all day, and then you wake up the next day feeling like crap, and plus alcohol makes you quite aggressive. It's just bad news all around. So I was glad I was able to resist that. Um, Also, I guess when I get a little low on energy, I tend to go indulge in other less than productive activities. I'm very libertarian by nature, and it makes me want to go rage at the world a little bit, and that's really the exact wrong way to do it, and it's actually counter to the philosophy of freedom and libertarianism and volunteerism, because you can't, in those philosophies, you can't force other people to do things. All you can do is demonstrate being the best person that you can be, and explain things the best that you can, and help people understand what it means to be to provide as much freedom for yourself and others as possible. So I went on Facebook and Twitter and Minds, and I was doing a fair bit of well, it wasn't quite rage posting, but I was definitely not manifesting my best characters. I think I had some good points, but it wasn't moving me forward in being productive enough so that I can start creating income from my online presence. So that was an unfortunate path that I dug myself down into, and I should have been using the time to, start getting my web pages up, to set my podcasts up, to go through all the promotional materials that I have. There's just a ton of stuff that I need to go through. I've started on this path through Tom Woods and Michael Chaney, and Chaney's products and Tom's products will be the things that I begin promoting the most, because I think they're very inspirational, and if you put the work into them, they really pay off. And wow, when I got on the inside of Chaney's paid subscription site, it's just, well, it's like drinking from a fire hose of information. So there's a lot of stuff I need to go through there still, and that's what I should have been doing instead of screaming at the world. I mean, I got to fix myself first before I can tell other people how to behave, because I can't tell other people how to behave. I can only show them what it's like when you do the right thing. And that'll be better for me and better for everybody else. And then that draws people to you when you behave in that way. And people look at you as a person of integrity that wants to help them, rather than, well, nobody likes to be beaten over the head with a stick on act this way or else. That doesn't draw people to you. All right. So I wrote this down. I said, I'm my own victim and oppressor. Yeah, that's absolutely true. If I get whiny, if I get low on energy, then many times I will, how should we put it? Allow myself to start down the road of thinking, oh, things aren't fair, and you feel sorry for yourself, and that doesn't do you any good or anybody else any good. And so I would actually rather be my own oppressor and whip myself across the back a little bit and say, hey, dummy, go heal yourself. You understand this, so go stand up straight, go do something productive, go do something that's going to make today better than yesterday was, even if it's just a little bit better, as much as I can. All right. Yeah, so I started. So I think I was kind of venting some of my negative things for a while there. While I was, what I did was I came back in after fixing my son's bike tire, and I was like, man, I'm really feeling funky. So I'm gonna write all this down, because if I'm gonna feel bad, I may as well learn from it. And then once I did that, and I had dumped my mind and my heart and my feelings all on the page, I I felt healed. And then I was like, okay, that was really good. That felt good. And I feel a lot better about myself now for doing that. So I think this is going to be a habit that I must do, especially when I start to feel a little blue and funky. I can pull myself up out of the hole that way. And I think that's a really valuable skill to have. All right, a little coffee VV there for you. Get us going again. All right, so what's next? Well, it's okay. So then, while I was writing down, I tried not to write down just all the negative things. You can't just dwell on all the bad stuff because, well, if you can acknowledge your mistakes, but you don't want to beat yourself up for them, because there's no point in that. You want to look at it and go, okay, that wasn't good. Can do that better, but I can do that better. So I'm not going to be too upset that I didn't, excuse the paper rustling, that I'm not going to be too upset that I messed up, because, well, we're all messed up. We mess up. We're not perfect 100% of the time. And, kind of good thing that we aren't, because what else would we have to work on otherwise? All right, so I started to write down some of the positive things. Hey, you know what? I took the eldest to school, got up. I did make the web page, the Facebook page. Then I went on the way back, and I went to the grocery store, found some good bargains, loaded up the freezer, got some nice healthy things for myself to eat. The less I go to the grocery store while I'm on a diet, the better. I don't want to be tempted by the beer aisle and the snack aisle and the soda and, oh, well, God. Well, let's put it this way. The middle of the grocery store is freaking toxic. And there's so much temptation in there, especially when you're trying to lose weight. Oh, we'll see. So what other good things? So I came back and I cooked and had some nice healthy meals, some nice steaks, some nice grains, and that was good. So I need to make sure that those are new habits. Oh, okay. So I wanted to talk a little bit about developing habits and doing it on purpose instead of just hoping for the best, or because you can't force yourself into discipline. Sorry, I'm not looking at the camera right now. I'm trying to drag my OBS window up so I can see what this is all looking like. Okay, here we go. Let's go into studio mode so I can see what I'm doing, because I want to see what this looks like. Okay, so this is a book that I read quite some time ago when I was a much more active trader. I don't trade stocks, equities, and equities, futures, and foreign exchange as much as I used to. But when I did, I knew that discipline again was a problem, and I needed to make sure that I was in the right frame of mind all the time, not to break my rules. Because if you don't have rules while you're trading, then the market will come eat you, and that's a bad deal. So that's that book I just showed you. That's called The New Cybernetics, and it's not gospel, but there are some useful tips in it, and things inside of it that are quite useful that I've seen repeated in other literature are it takes about 3 weeks to build a new habit of doing it every day. So like 21 days or so, right around that, the better part of a month. And if you can stick through anything that you want to change about yourself for about a month and really consciously think about it, then you got it after that. It becomes so much more easier, because then the habit's ingrained. It's kind of like carving out a neural pathway in your mind. And the book does go through a lot of, I think, it's by Maxwell Maltz. Here, let me pull it up again so you can see it. Maxwell Maltz. Really interesting story on that guy. He was a plastic surgeon, and this is what he would notice. He would people would come in and they would be miserable, and they wanted to fix something about themselves, but they wanted someone else to fix it for them, so they'd go to a plastic surgeon, and they would think, well, if my nose was just a little bit different, or if whatever they wanted to change about their physical appearance, Dr. Maltz was able to help them out with that. But what he found was he would perform the surgery on people. To him, they would look beautiful afterwards, but they would be just as miserable as they were before. And they would look at themselves in the mirror and see the change and still hate what they saw in the mirror. And then he realized what they needed to do wasn't plastic surgery, it was fixing themselves inside. And so Maltz quit what was going to grow into a very lucrative plastic surgery business and started writing books on how to fix your own mind. And so techniques that he promoted in there were really taking some time to close your eyes and you play a movie in your mind and you watch yourself in as much detail as possible. I mean, you really construct the scene. You look around and you try to absorb, well, not absorb, you try to construct what it would look like to create the habits that you want for yourself. And so what I would do when I was trading much more actively was watching myself obey my rules. And, so I'd construct a scenario. I'd visualize myself sitting in my chair, looking at the market. And I'd have this is the movie in my mind that I'm just closing my eyes and thinking about. And so I visualized things like, okay, well, I got into a bad trade, and it's about to hit my stop. Do I let it just come and take me out of the market, or do I go ahead and get out? And the point was that I had to visualize following my rules. And the more I did that, the easier it was to actually obey my rules. And I think that's a really valuable technique. And also, I trust what's in the book. I mean, again, it's not gospel, and I need to reread it. It's been quite some time. But a lot of the really great disciplined people that I knew in the trading field over the last decade or more now at this point were all very disciplined people, and they knew that their rules were the things that were keeping their heads above water because we all go through low times and bad times, especially if you're an equity trader. And it was nice to see a lot of those people with discipline. They didn't know about Maxwell Maltz, but they came to the same conclusions by themselves. And one of the big ones was, one of my teachers was a man by the name of Joe DiNapoli, and Joe said, "Hey, if you're messing up for a couple of days, then you need to quit and get away from it, and give a space of about 3 weeks." There was that 3 weeks again, or at least about 3 weeks to reset yourself, because something's not right, and you don't want to be putting money on the line when something's not right. So I thought I'd share that with you because I think that's really keen and useful. Fortunately, when you're promoting yourself and in the business that we're pointing people to products and services that we think that will be useful to other people, and so there's not a lot of risk, but there's still a lot of work to be done. So when you get in that blue funky mood, sometimes you want to really step back and remember your whys. I've heard that a lot from just this week of getting started up, and that will really help recenter you if you can remember why are you bothering to do this anyways? And of course, the answer to that for me is my kids. And then, I'll engage in a little family narcissism at some point. Post some pictures up, you guys can see them. They're really good whys. All right. So yeah, that's a really good way to go about healing yourself when you're having a little problem with discipline. Yeah. So again, the whole point of this is for me to heal myself, and this is really useful for me. Please do watch and comment below. Let me know what you think about this. If there's any information that you would like from me, hey, I'm happy to share. I'm looking to build a network of like-minded individuals who believe in helping each other out by building themselves and demonstrating their integrity, and then manifesting the best person that they can be in the world, so that others will look at us and go, man, that's what I want for me. And I think that's the way to change the world and make money for yourself at the same time. You be the best person that you can be. Other people see you being the best that you can be. They step up their game because you stepped up your game, and not because anybody came along and said, you must. No, not you must. But look at me, and maybe you should. All right, so a few plans for the future. I've got tons of web page ideas that I want to launch. I'm a huge fan of Dr. Jordan Peterson. Well, I think I've mentioned that my first products that I'm going to be promoting will be Tom Woods and Michael Chaney's, and I think there's a ton of value there, and it's going to shape me and craft me into a better person, and I will share with you those things that I think are the most valuable, and hopefully you'll get something out of that too. All right, and for a little bit of a lighter note, I was watching an episode of The Simpsons. Yeah, we still watch The Simpsons. Yesterday, and I heard a word I hadn't heard in a long time. So today's resurrected word from the past is balderdash, and it basically means BS. It's something that you could imagine Teddy Roosevelt saying. Well, I thought that was funny. Okay. Well, a couple plans that I'm going to work out for myself. Hey, probably a couple of different podcasts. The YouTube channel is, well, guys, watch out. When you go to my YouTube channel, there's a reason why I kind of separate my promotional side from my very political side, because I do tend to rage against the world on my YouTube channel, so watch out. Look, I'm not a raving, insane person. I just have really taken the dive into the deep end in exploring and thinking things through for myself. So you might see some things that you will see as fairly radical out there, but all great and useful information, because if there's one thing that I want, is I know I won't be around here forever, and I want the world that I leave behind to be as awesome and amazing for everybody that's still here, especially my sons, when I'm gone. That's the legacy I want to build, and I'm going to build it by making myself as best as I can, the best person that I can, and by shouldering as much burden as I can, and climbing the mountain until I can't climb anymore. I hope it was useful, guys. I'll talk to you tomorrow.